On February 15th, two columns of molten rock erupted from the summit of Kilauea volcano, sending lava fountains 1,300 feet into the sky and punching a volcanic plume to 35,000 feet above sea level. This was not a one-off event. It was the 42nd time this volcano has done this in 14 months. And the 43rd episode is already building. But here is what makes this story different from every eruption headline you have seen this year. 3 weeks ago, episode 41 sent volcanic rock raining down on communities 28 miles away, burying roads so deep that drivers could not see the lane markings beneath them. Episode 42 just ended. And the only thing that decided whether homes got hit or homes got spared was which direction the wind was blowing. The Precursors began more than 24 hours before the main event. On February 14th, at 1:05 in the afternoon, local time, a small overflow of lava spilled from the north vent inside Halemaʻumaʻu crater. Two more overflows followed at 4:41 and 5:56 that evening, each lasting less than 10 minutes. Intermittent spattering continued through the night. By 3:51, the next morning, the south vent joined in with brief overflows of its own. Then came a dozen small pulses from both vents across the morning hours, each one a little stronger, each pause a little shorter. At 12:13, the north vent vigorously overflowed. 7 minutes later, the south vent matched it. By 1:08 in the afternoon, the south vent locked into continuous eruption. The north followed at 1:20. Fountain heights climbed through 20 meters, then kept rising. At 1:50, the instruments at the Uikahuna tiltmeter station recorded a sharp spike in seismic tremor and a sudden plunge in ground tilt. Episode 42 had begun. Within 20 minutes, the north fountain exceeded 100 meters. By 2:25, it cleared 200 meters. The south vent caught up at 2:30 and surpassed it by 2:40. Ken Hahn, scientist in charge at the USGS Hawaiian Volcano Observatory, had told Hawaii News Now just days earlier how the forecasting works. He said they were expecting the eruption to probably happen sometime right now, probably Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, or Tuesday, someplace in there, describing the inflation-based prediction window that has guided scientists through all 42 episodes. The models were right. But what came next tested the limits of what they could predict. By 3 in the afternoon, both fountains reached their peak. The south vent hit an estimated 400 meters, roughly 1,300 feet. The north vent topped out around 300 meters, 1,000 feet of liquid rock screaming into the atmosphere. The peak effusion rate at that moment was 780 cubic meters of lava per second. The combined heat and ash from the dual fountains drove a plume that the National Weather Service clocked at 35,000 feet above sea level. The National Weather Service immediately issued an ashfall advisory for East and Southeast Hawaiʻi Island, covering Hilo, Pahoa, Hawaiian Paradise Park, Volcano, and communities across the Kau district. Start from the middle of the Pacific Ocean, zoom past the main Hawaiian island chain to the Big Island, the youngest and largest. Kilauea sits on the southeastern flank, its summit caldera at just over 4,000 feet elevation. Inside the caldera lies Halemaʻumaʻu crater, and inside that crater 2 vents, north and south, separated by a short distance but erupting simultaneously with enough force to fill half the crater floor in a single episode. 30 miles to the northeast sits Hilo, population roughly 45,000. The largest city on the island. Directly adjacent to the park boundary is Volcano Village. To the southwest, the small communities of Pahala, Naʻalehu, and Punalu'u sit downwind when trade winds blow from the northeast. And scattered across the slopes between them are subdivisions like Mauna Loa Estates, Royal Hawaiian Estates, and Ola'a, where thousands of residents live in homes that rely on rooftop rainwater catchment for their drinking water. That detail matters. It matters enormously. Here is the problem that is not making headlines. Kilauea does not erupt once and stop. It has been cycling through this pattern since December 23, 2024. Inflate, erupt, deflate, inflate, erupt, deflate 42 times. The Wekahuna tilt meter records this as a sawtooth pattern, each tooth representing one episode. After each episode ends, inflation begins again, recharging the system for the next one. But during the build-up to episode 42, something unusual appeared in the data. The Hawaiian Volcano Observatory noted that the summit had been alternating between inflation and deflation over several days, with no net gain. Their February 14th update stated that this pattern, combined with an increase in summit earthquakes, may indicate that it is getting progressively more difficult to generate the pressure needed to trigger fountain episodes. Whether that means the eruption is winding down or evolving into something different, no one can say yet. But that was only half the problem. The second force tightening around this situation is one that no instrument can forecast with precision: wind. During most episodes, Hawaii's trade winds blow from the northeast, carrying tephra harmlessly to the southwest over uninhabited national park land. That is what happened during episode 42. Light ash and Pele's hair drifted into Pahala, Punaluu, and Naʻaulehu, manageable. But during episode 41, on January 24th, trade winds were absent. Light Kona winds from the southwest and weak surface conditions allowed the massive dual fountains to loft volcanic material straight up, where upper-level winds carried it northeast, directly over populated communities. Jessica Farrakane, spokesperson for Hawaii Volcanoes National Park, warned afterward that if we have tall, tephra-laden lava fountains and light or southerly winds when the volcano erupts, this could happen all over again. And this is where the numbers start to overwhelm. Episode 42 alone erupted an estimated 15 million cubic yards of lava, covering half the crater floor. The peak effusion rate hit 780 cubic meters per second. During fountaining, sulfur dioxide emissions surged to between 50,000 and 100,000 tons per day. And even between episodes, the volcano still exhales 1,000 to 5,000 tons of sulfur dioxide daily, blanketing nearby communities in fog. But the numbers from episode 41 tell the story of what happens when the wind turns. Bill Hansen, administrative officer for Hawaii County Civil Defense, reported the aftermath. He said there were 250 reports of tephra and ashfall on private property. There were reports from as far away as Hilo. There were inches on the roads and inches on houses in the Mauna Loa Estates area. At the Pahoa Community Aquatic Center, volcanic ash and strands of Pele's hair filled the public swimming pool. The facility was shut down. A contractor was hired to perform a full cleaning of the pool basin and filtration system. It remained closed until further notice. And on the morning of episode 41, Brant Wolf was staying at Volcano House, the historic hotel perched on the crater rim inside the national park. He recalled that yesterday morning, they started hearing a sound like a jet engine, and they looked out their window, and the volcano was erupting like crazy. Here is what the next chapter looks like, and what remains unresolved. Episode 42 ended at 11:38 on the night of February 15th after 9 hours and 48 minutes of continuous fountaining. The eruption is paused. The alert level remains at watch. The inflation cycle will begin again. Based on previous inter-episode pauses, which have ranged from less than 24 hours to 21 days, episode 43 could arrive anywhere from late February to early March. The Hawaiian Volcano Observatory will publish daily updates tracking tilt, tremor, and vent glow, progressively narrowing the window. But here is what they cannot forecast: which way the wind will blow on the day it happens. February is still winter in Hawaii. Kona winds remain common. Ken Hahn noted about the ashfall warning issued during episode 41. I think the whole idea of an ash warning is pretty new. This might have been one of the first ones ever issued in the country. The question is not whether episode 43 will come. It is whether the wind will be pointing at the forests or at the towns when it does. How many more episodes can this system sustain before something fundamental changes? What happens to the thousands of families whose drinking water comes from rooftop catchment systems that collect every particle this volcano throws into the sky? And if the pressure patterns the scientists are watching right now mean this eruption is shifting into a new phase, what does that new phase look like? 42 times since December 2024, the ground beneath Halemaʻumaʻu has swelled, cracked open, and fired columns of molten rock higher than the tallest skyscrapers on Earth. 42 times it has stopped. And 42 times it has started filling again. The next tooth on the sawtooth is already forming. The only question left is what falls from the sky when it breaks.